friends. Happy Friday morning. It's Emily, and I'm so excited that we got to connect on Wednesday. I'm so grateful that we have technology to turn to and remind us of the fact that we're still in community. Even though we aren't physically together, we're practicing social distancing, we're staying at home, all these things that are so abnormal for us. But I'm so grateful that we got to connect on Wednesday. So today I want to talk to you guys about our devotional that we've been going through every day called Fear is a Lie. And fear is something that has impacted me in my life, and it's something that I have to constantly combat and choose not to believe the lies that are in my head, or maybe when I'm overthinking or when things are uncertain, I easily can turn to what if this happens, or wanting control over the situations that I'm in. And so that's why I loved the Devo this morning. It talks about how who we are following determines our fear, and who we follow also determines who or what we fear. Are we following people on social media? Are we following the news outlets? Are we following all the stories that are scary right now? Are we following the approval of others? Are we following our emotions about how we feel about being with our families 24/7? Or are we following Jesus? Are we following what he says about us, what he says about our current situation? So something that I really took away from this devotional was something that I learned a long time ago, and it's about how when we follow other people or things, we're always going to be left afraid, dissatisfied, or longing for more. And right now, when we follow the news media, or we follow people on TikTok or Instagram to try and fill the void in our minds, we're gonna be left unsatisfied. We might feel more anxious that day. We can't figure out why. We might feel more stir crazy, or we might be more unkind and unloving to our families that we're home with. But when we follow Jesus, we receive the ultimate satisfaction of what it means to be a follower of Jesus, because we're in the Word, we're understanding more about who we are because of who he says we are, and what he promises us. He promises to protect us. He promises to uphold us. He promises to be our strength. So when we follow the one who knows our hearts and has the best in store for us, fear is going to be on the back burner. And something that I learned is that we can experience fear but not be afraid. We can choose to walk forward trusting that God has his best for us, and trusting that he is for us, while not being afraid of our current circumstances. And sometimes that can be confusing, but I invite you to think about that. What does it mean to have fears? And as the devotional talked about, identify them, list them, bring them to God because they're valid, while also not allowing ourselves to be in a state of fear all the time. So that's my invitation for you guys today. What does it mean to bring our fears into the light to God? What does it mean to show more of our hearts to him? He wants to hear our hearts. Even if he knows our thoughts already, he wants to hear from us. So what does it mean to walk forward, trusting that he is for us, just like David did? And David ended up being the king of Israel, and he ended up knowing God in an intimate way. And he wasn't perfect. He made a lot of mistakes. But when he chose to fight Goliath, it changed the course of his life, because he chose bravery, and he chose to follow Jesus because he believes that God has his best for him, and that the God of Israel would protect him. So how can we walk forward today in the midst of maybe our fear or the fear of those around us? How do we walk forward trusting God? I hope you guys have an awesome weekend and a great Friday, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next Wednesday on Zoom.